Welcome to the Sultans of Sales podcast. I'm your host, Jamil Pendleton. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today on the show, we have MedTech industry veteran Chip Helm, over 37 years of experience in this space, working with large companies, still currently working with a multi-billion-dollar company in various roles across sales and leadership. And Chip brings with us such a unique perspective. He's an author of 2 books, working on his 3rd. We can get into those books here in a second, but Chip, thank you so much for carving out time. Welcome to the show.
Well, hey, Jay, I really appreciate it. We've been trying to do this for a few weeks or for a couple of months. So just thank you so much. It's an honor and privilege to be on your podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, gosh, based on our kind of offline conversations, I mean, the honor and privilege is mine. I mean, I have a lot to learn from you, and just talking about your books, to give them a plug. Yes, because I want to help, but also because I'm fascinated by these titles. Bigger Than Sales: How Humility and Relationships Build Career Success. Bingo. That's how I've built my career success. So I'm excited to read that one. And then Everyday Sales Wisdom for Your Life and Career. And you're working on a 3rd. And this is something that I've always kind of in the back of my mind, like, man, people tell me this, you should write a book. Real quick, like, what can you talk about that experience as an author?
Let's put it this way, Jay. I didn't expect to do this, but about 10 years ago, we were sitting around a Christmas tree with my kids. And I all of a sudden said, hey, I think I could write a book. Yeah, Dad. Yeah, Dad. So 10 years later, they kept asking me every Christmas or every year, like, where's your book? Where's your books? I finally just said, gosh, to get them off my butt or whatever, I'm going to write this thing. And I was scared to death. And I just started. A good friend of mine talked me into, Chip, you're a verbal guy. You're a verbal guy. So let's just record it. So I basically recorded the books. And then I got hooked up with the right editor and the right publisher. It just came together. It's almost like God was telling me to do it. So it was kind of funny because 2 weeks before I was supposed to have my first published book, I get a call and say, you're birthing 2 babies. I go, what do you mean I'm birthing 2 babies? And they said, you're going to have 2 books because we found so much content that we liked, we want to split it up. And so that's how we started with Everyday Sales Wisdom, which is kind of the term I coined Chipisms, because everything there that I say, hey, do what you say you're going to do and do it when you say you're going to do it. And the sun does get up the next morning. And, when you have a bad email, take a deep breath, wait 24 hours, then respond. Those are Chipisms. Those are things that I wanted you to take into heart and to keep up and to adhere to and to live by, both in your personal and professional life. So that's my 1 minute or less about the books. I didn't do it for any other reason but to share and to leave a legacy for my children.
I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad that you elaborated on that, because I think it's super important as a sales leader, as a father myself, and just wanting to, always be not every day, but you want to think about, what are we leaving behind? What impact are we going to have on our kids and on their kids? And I think it's a good exercise. So thank you. Let's dive into your thoughts on social media, right? That's how we connected via LinkedIn, and we found one another, and I think gravitated like magnets towards one another, and talked a little bit about, the industry, kind of the ebbs and flows and the changes, but also just where we are today in 2022, and kind of what you're seeing and what you can share with the audience on your experience, and kind of where this thing goes.
Well, if you asked me this pre-COVID, I would have had some different information than I'm going to say now, or different comments. I mean, I'll just start there. Let's talk pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, I'm not a fan. Was not a fan of social media because I've seen people fired and hired and misled because of the different ways they approach the social media. The pictures and the things they put out there, and we're getting too personal about things. And I just felt like, hey, you got to be careful about social media. Was not a fan of social media. The only thing that I liked about social media was LinkedIn. I thought it was a professional site. I thought it was a good site. I thought that people were square with what they were trying to say. And I just thought overall it was a place to be. I was not a fan of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these things. kids are using now. But okay, so now I'm going to say post-COVID. Post-COVID, you got to change. It's almost like I tell people now that the virtual is here to stay. You know, I mean, even though we're probably COVID, I don't know, we're treating COVID in a different way right now, almost like a hangover. We're gonna have to get through this together as a country and everything else. But basically, the virtual is here to stay. As I told people in the medical industry, it was inevitable this was going to happen. What I mean is that salespeople aren't really wanted as much in the operating room anymore in the hospitals, and so it was getting away from people coming into hospitals anyway. So I think that virtual, you know, being able to use social media now, Zoom calls, all these things that you're doing to get in front of people is here to stay. I still believe it's still face-to-face is number one.
Oh, yes.
Maybe instead of being 90% and 10%, now it's down to 80-20 or 70-30 or 65-35. But I still believe that, you know, at least 65% of the time you need to be in front of customers. 35% of the time, I guess now you have a new toolbox, don't you?
That's right.
Toolbox. You have a toolbox that has all these great tools that you'll learn about communicating now through the virtual world, like you and I are talking today. And so I think social media is utilizing the same structure, moving in that direction. So I guess I would say overall, to bring it back around, is that I think that if you use it wisely and you use it the right tools and the social media, I think it can be very powerful and impactful, but it never will replace one-on-one, face-to-face, even what you and I are doing right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's an evolution of our behavioral communication styles, right? We kind of were forced into this, and we've talked a lot about this. I've talked about this on other mediums. It's sped up a lot of things that were already happening. I think it's well said about the sales folks in the OR and just kind of the whether it's vendor credentialing or you can't sell at Scrub Sync any longer. Like these things were happening, and then it's just all of a sudden COVID was a kind of a catch-all to really stop a lot of behaviors, and I think the people that were able to pivot and use this new means and mechanisms of digital communications to their advantage to provide value. I mean, Chip, because that's ultimately all I want to do is be valuable. I mean, if I'm successful, great. I would rather be valuable and seen as a valued person from the surgeon and from anyone that I'm communicating with, right? Colleagues, friends. But you know, that is something that I think is here to stay. And you're right. It never is going to replace the face-to-face. I've said that as well.
COVID just sped things up.
Yeah,
COVID just sped things up. That's all it did differently than what it was. It was going to get to this place. But here's the problem. The problem is a lot of people then didn't understand how to build up that virtual toolbox. See, the virtual toolbox, in my opinion, is just a part of my strength now.
Yep.
It's added to my other skills of how to speak on Zooms and how to communicate and learn how to write emails, learn how to text better, learn how to, you know, what are you going to say on the phone? Because phone skills are important. So that's what it's done. It's done for me personally. And is that it's just a strength in my overall ability to build a relationship with a customer, but I still want to have that one-on-one. I may start that relationship with Zoom or with, you know, Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but it's never going to get to where you want it to go until you meet and greet, as I say.
That's right. No, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I think we all lived that in 2021 and, you know, excited to see what 2022 brings. Let's dive in. You know, one thing that you and I talked about, I think this might be, you know, some background for your next book, but, you know, principles of business success. I mean, you mentioned Chipisms, right? We all kind of have, you know, our own things that we adhere to and some of the things that we live by, whether they're based on our character or upbringing, our morals, whatever. What can you share with us about business success and principles that you live by?
Yeah. That's interesting. And that is the basis of my next book. I can't tell you all my secrets in the book or whatever, but basically I've always adhered to the 5 principles of business success. And I always said that everyone's in sales. So no matter what career you choose, you're always in sales. I don't care if you're in IT, if you're in marketing, you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, you're in sales. We're always communicating every single day. You know, we're selling a widget, we're selling ourselves. we're selling a concept or something. So the 5 basic principles, look like this. Number one, it's probably a pet peeve of mine, probably the number one thing across this industry that we don't do very well. We don't get back to people. And my expression is following up plus following through is equal to success. And people don't follow up very well. And just like I said earlier on your podcast, do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
And do it when you say you're going to do it. And if you live by that credence, you'll have more money. You can shake a stick out. You'll be hanging out in the Bahamas. But the problem is there was a study done recently across the industry that probably only 20 to 25% of all professional folks get back. And it just is very, very frustrating because I'm trying to coach and teach. You have to have a sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it in your personal life as well as you do in your professional life. Example, when I was growing up, I'd get to a basketball game probably an hour and a half before the game started. It's part of also to be on time is to be early.
Yep.
If someone calls a 9 o'clock meeting, you better show up in those seats about 8:30 in the morning. So it all revolves around how important it is to you to get back to people, whether or not it's a text message, an email, a phone call. And I always say it's a sense of urgency that, you need to get back immediately as fast as you can. What does that mean? It could be in 3 minutes, 2 minutes. It could be within 24 hours, but most people don't even get back within 24 hours or they don't get back at all.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that is the issue.
But I can see sometimes why. And here's what I mean. Just had a great interaction with a surgeon, right? Face to face, right? But then there's travel involved. There's other things that pull you. You're in so many different areas of your life, whether it's, for us in the operating room, travel to and fro, family stuff, like you get pulled in different directions. And, I know we all have the ability to communicate via email and other things, but, I can see how the excitement of the face-to-face, it invigorates sales folks, right? I think it invigorates anyone. But then the follow-up is really, as you said, God, it's so critical to the actual selling cycle and the process by which the relationship is built. Yeah, it's interesting. I see why maybe it falls off. That's a pretty staggering statistic, though, to think about only 20%.
Well, if you think about it, all we want, we're human beings. All you want to be is be acknowledged. You don't have to have the answer for somebody. I was just helping someone the other day who's a very big real estate guru here in Bloomington, Indiana, and he was frustrated because he could never get back to people and he just felt like things were just unraveling. Mm-hmm. I said, take a simple step back and all you have to do is say, hey, email the person or text the person or call them or leave a voice message and say, hey, I'm on PTO this week. Can I get back to you next week? Or, hey, I'm traveling for 2 or 3 days. Can we meet up next week? That's all people want to know. But the problem is it's gone to the extreme, Jay, where now you're getting everyone from the executive level down are not even responding to people at all. And they only respond when they need something.
Yeah.
They don't respond to, and I just live by that credence. I mean, I do it in my personal life. I do it in my professional life. In all my 37 years, I've never been so busy that I cannot get back to someone. So I'll leave my first principle point like this. People choose not to get back to people. You have a choice. And you just decide that you don't want to get back. And I'm completely believe that if you got back to people as much, even a quarter of what I just said on this podcast,
right,
you would win you'd win the game most of the time, and you wouldn't have any problems with promotions, getting to where you want to go, getting the financial carrot that you deserve, whatever it is, you would be very, very successful.
I agree. All right, what's number 2?
Number 2. Obviously, it's all about people, but it's relationship building.
Yes, sir.
And deep inside about, is it important? And a great thing is that's why I probably never was a fan of commission. When you use the word commission, sometimes people cross that line of building that relationship. Mm-hmm. But are you genuine? I mean, you got to sit down and getting written down on a piece of paper. Do you feel like you're genuine? Do you feel like you're sincere? You feel like you're someone who gets back to people? Do you feel like that you add value? Do you feel like you got a personality for it?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, do you care?
That's
Do you
right.
really care about what you are trying to sell, or is it just to sell something and move on to the next person? So right. Relationship building takes time. One time it took me 7 years to get this customer. But remember something, the customer is always right.
Oh, yeah.
And the customer does not have, the customer does not have to figure us out, but we have got to figure the customer out. And so if you go by that thing that the customer is always right, and that, as I told my son who's an orthopedic surgeon, if you treat your ancillary people, your nurses, I don't care, your front desk help, just like kings and queens, then you will always win. You'll be the best of the best because, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't care if someone bought $10,000, $5,000, $1 million from me. I treat every single customer the same way. And so I think part of that relationship building skills that you have to learn how to build a good relationship, but it starts with the customer.
In one point, though, I completely agree with you, Chip, but I think it's important to understand who are our customers, because yes, there's surgeons, but there's also a ton of other people in that ecosystem. I've talked about this. There are so many people that contribute to the patient care, right? So from the hospital executives, administration, to the nurses that you mentioned, to the scrub techs, to the janitors, to really the PAs, the MAs, the schedulers, right? There's so many people that you have to, as a salesperson or representative of a company, you have to maintain those relationships. Matter of fact, that's probably one of the things that I love most about this world, is having to wear multiple hats and having to just the ability to communicate very clinically, right, with maybe one person, and then very business value oriented with another person, and then very just how's your day? How are your kids? And with someone else who you're passing them by in that moment of the time. But, I always saw those reps and those people that just don't care about people without titles. And it's like, yeah, that person doesn't get it. They don't understand what really we're doing here. And they're not going to be long-term successful. At least that's what I've found. Just be kind to one another, right?
No, but like I said, it comes down to one thing: treat everyone like they want to be treated. Did you hear what I said? Not the golden rule says treat everyone like you want to be treated.
Right.
The rule is treat everyone like they want to be treated. And if you do that, like I said, everyone around those people's ancillary people, you will win everything. Because, but here's the problem: people don't do that. They say that Dr. So-and-so spends this much with me, so I'm going to treat him this way. Or so-and-so does this. No, treat them all the same. And it's amazing how much you'll get back in return.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your point on commission is well taken. One of the things that I've kind of said, and I don't know if it's public, but whatever, is commission breath stinks, right? Desperation is a stinky cologne, right? These are things that I've kind of attached to, that if you come at someone with that dragon breath of commission, it's obvious, right? Think about when you and I walk into a store. We've heard this before. We get this, you put up this wall, right? And it's been studied. There's sales courses and things that I've taken. It's called the reptilian brain, that people react to that commission mindset, and that just someone that the only reason they're even talking to you is to get your money. And that completely cheapens and devalues us as salespeople, I feel, when we do that.
Right.
Well, good deal. What are we at? Number 3?
We're at number 3. We're trying to get these things as quickly as possible. Number 3 is networking. And I have an expression I've taught people that I'm the great white shark. If you don't think about sharks, they got to continue to move. And if they ever stop moving, then they die. So I'll give you an example. You're in the medical industry, so you can relate to this story. You go to a meeting, or you go to an event. And, one thing you want to do, let's say you go to an event and you got a a wine and cheese thing after the event's over. And so here's how it works. I walk in there and I understand before I walk in there who my customers are. Mm-hmm. I know who's going to be there. I've done my homework.
Sure.
And so like I'm a great white shark, I'll spend the next 2 hours almost like in a figure eight going across the room, back and forth, or the large hall, and I'll introduce myself, or I'll put my name out there, and I'll hand out a business card, but I will move around until that thing ends. I will never stop. And the only way I'll stop is for a 2 or 3 minute conversation. And I will seek people out, and I'll know exactly who I want to go see. And so that is what I've done for 37 years. And that's why I guess my black book could be sold on the black market. I don't know. And the problem is I don't think they'd answer their calls, but they'd answer my calls, because that's the key to success. That's the key to success. If you get their cell phone number, or if you build that relationship, or you have their confidential information inside that little black book. But that's what the networking's all about. So I teach about how to go out and, pre-COVID, it was the handshake. Pre-COVID, you look someone straight in the eyes. Pre-COVID, you just have a short, to the point message for them, and then say, hey, can I follow up with you? And I never thought, and I'll leave this principle to this. I never, ever thought that if I could ever get in front of you, I don't care if it's Zoom or not, Zoom or in person, if I could just get 30 seconds with you, a minute with you, 2 minutes with you, you wouldn't forget, Chip. And I know I could get back into your office, I could get back into your OR, and I could see you again. And you know what? It's worked 99% of the time. I'm not perfect. There's some people who don't like Chip Helm, or my personality doesn't hit well with them. But you know what? I always did it with the right intent and the right heart. Hear that? I always did it with the right intent and right heart. So no, did I win it all? No. But I know that when I walked away, I did it with the right heart and the right intent. So I did do it the right way. I may not have ended up in a good setting, or I may have made someone upset, but it wasn't with any kind of a bad and false intent. So there you have it on my,
well said.
That principle that way.
Love that. Yeah, I can agree and align with a lot of what you're saying. Right. All right. I could comment on all of these, but we got a time limit here. What
I know you got time. You're going to put me on the spot. That's why you need to have me back, and we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah, you bet, bud.
Well, so then you get back to, those are, you got those 3 principles, and then it comes down to attitude. And I look at it this way. There was a study done that said that most people, including yourself or me, Jay, probably 1 out of 2, one of us probably, but thinks that the glass is half empty. And what does that mean? That means that you're a negative type of person, that you're not optimistic, that you think, instead of looking at the glass being half full, but most people do not look at that way. And I always said that, negativity breeds negativity. Oh, yeah. Positivity breeds positivity, and it's all in your attitude. And I think people have gotten fired because of their attitude. They've gotten hired because of a great attitude, but it's what you put your mind to. And, I love this. What you can control is what you can control.
That's it.
You can't control, you just can't freaking control. And you got to stop worrying about that kind of, too many people. The reason why they have a negative attitude or kind of going in that direction is that they just feel like they can control everything, or they want to control everything.
You try. Can't. Yeah, exactly.
They just stay in that path. They just would stay in that realm of just saying, hey, you know what? I'm doing the best I can do, and I just got to just stay within what I can control. And I used to wear a positive band from a Butler cancer patient. I've got to order some more. And sometimes I even look down. Even Chip Helm isn't always happy or positive, but I look down and it just refreshes me when I look at it and say, you know what? It's just about stay positive. Stay positive. Right. I mean, I'll leave one little story. It got to the point where, I don't know if you're married, Jay. I think you are.
Yes, sir. Proud and happy.
I have a sister-in-law. I don't know if you have a sister-in-law that comes visit you or whatever. She'll come all the time. I call her Debbie Downer or Nancy Negative. And to be honest with you, it got to the point sometime when we were together that she was so negative. I mean, she's the type that if it rained on Tuesday, it rained the following Tuesday. And I got to the point where I think she just made me start drinking. I had to go downstairs or upstairs and start drinking. My sister-in-law got me to start drinking more, I think, because of her negativity. And it's just, it's a funny story, but it's, there's a lot of truth to it as far as you don't want to be around those kind of people. No. You want to figure out a way to stay around the positive people, but it's a critical part of your success.
I agree.
And again, as I'm saying, all these principles, if you don't put these into effect and utilize them in your personal life, you can't turn on the clock, turn on and off the light bulb. You've got to do it across your personal life and professional life. So that's why I'm trying to tell people, that's why it doesn't matter what career you're in and what you do for a living, if you adhere to some of these principles.
No, it's well said. I mean, there's so many things you're saying. I live my life this exact way. I mean, movement, network, attitude, control the controllables, something I've said for years. It's so true. And why people try to grab the wheel, this is the analogy, and I'm a God-fearing Christian man, but like your hands need to stay on the wheel, sometimes 10 and 2, right? Sometimes it's going to be, but we're not steering the wheel, right? It's on cruise control. Everyone is trying to just grip that thing, right? And steer it the way that we think that it needs to be, but that's not how it is, right? I mean, God's got a plan for us, for you, for me, for everyone listening here. And whether or not you believe is what it is, but that's how I believe. And that's how I live my life. And I don't try to control things that are outside of my realm of control. And I don't think anyone should. So,
you know what, Jay, you're a lot smarter than me. I'm still working on that I'm still working at that at my age. So, you're a better man than me.
It's not easy, Chip. As I say these words, I'm thinking about things that happen over the weekend. Right. I mean, it is a daily, right? Something that we have to remind ourselves. And hopefully people that listen to this, watch this, whatever, get a little nuggets from you and I. I mean, you've got more experience than I do. And it's clear that we're very much aligned on our mindset. Yeah. What's number 5?
Number 5, last but not least, maybe the most powerful, but the one that most people don't have. And that's passion.
Oh, yes.
Passion is, it did another stuff. Most people don't have any passions in their life. No, they don't. They don't have, you can't teach passion. Mm-mm. If I could bottle it up and I could go around and be a leadership coach or a passion coach, I would. Now, maybe because I have energy, maybe because I can motivate you, but no, you build or create or discover or uncover your passion. I have 3 passions. God willing, I don't know how the heck I have 3 passions, but I have a passion that I love my family and my 3 children and what they've done. And I have a passion for my home in Northern Michigan, where it's a safe haven. And my last passion is I love what I do. I've never had a job in my life. And if you love what you do so much, you will never have a job in your life. And you wake up. I mean, Jay, you're married, right?
Yes, sir.
And you got that pitter patter still, that stuff inside about your wife. I mean, does you still get that inside? How much
spark? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, can I steal that? I'm gonna steal that.
No, man, come on.
But Jay, you have that spark, right?
Yep.
Now, what I teach people is if you can take that spark, Jay, even close to that spark, and you can bring it over and find that job or find that thing you love to do, you will never ever have a job. So it's the spark that you have with your wife is the same kind of spark that you want to find for what you do for your career and your life and help. And if you do that and even find it, oh my God, you will never have. I've never had a job. I still wake up and go, they pay me to do this?
Right.
You really do? But people think it's a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. I got lucky. I discovered it and felt it and breathed it. And I love what I do. And if you can find that love, and I think everyone has a passion, but they've got to start down. You got to start with like a piece of paper, put a line in the middle of it and put down, what do you like to do? What you don't like to do? What are you good at? What aren't you not good at? Mm-hmm. And then figure out, you go, okay, I think I want to go this direction. And just remember, one of my Chipisms, you can spin your wheels and, you can hope that you're going to become CEO of a company, or you're going to get to where you're going, but sometimes you don't get to where you're going.
Yep.
God willing, sometimes that's not meant for you to go there. It doesn't mean, though, that you don't have a goal to go there. Okay, you still go.
Yeah.
But understand that in 24 hours, your life can go upside down. And instead of going east or west, you may be going north or south, but it's okay. It's okay. The sun will get up the next morning.
Yep.
Take a deep breath. It will be okay. But you got to go for your goals. You got to go for what you love to do, and it will uncover and you will discover your passion or your passions. But most people in this country, most people do not have any passions.
I love it. And that's so true. And I think one point, just relative to, I guess, both career and marriage and wherever your passion lies, is that it's a spark, right? It's not always a massive bonfire, but the key, and this is a critical point, you never let it go out. And how do you do that? Well, you have to fan the fire, right? When you're camping, sometimes you have to, stoke the fire, right? You just don't want to let it go out. And sometimes it's going to be bleak. It's going to be just a little flicker, the pilot light, right? But just don't let it go out. And that's critical. To recap, follow up, number one, follow up and follow through, have that sense of urgency. Number two, relationships, people, right? Number three, networking, right? Movement is critical, right? Motion is lotion. Love that. Number four, attitude. And number five, in terms of your Chip Helms' 5 principles of business success, is passion. Love what you do, and you never work a day in your life. I love it, man.
You couldn't have said it any better, Jay, if I said it myself.
Well, I think that, look, we're both kindred spirits. I think this is the kind of stuff that gets me up in the morning, right? I love talking about this, whether it's just something we can apply to our day, right? That I'm going to take this today, and these principles that I've written down in my Moleskine, right? My Star Wars Moleskine, right? We improved, and again, it's kind of like, there's been a lot of quotes about the pursuit, but if you go after these things and you have the pursuit, you may not always reach your goal, but I think the practice of just going for it and keeping these principles in line, or whatever you're living your life by, that's truly, what's important. And so, Chip, I can't thank you enough for spending some time, and I'm excited to see this next book when you get around to it. But I really do appreciate coming on the Sultans of Sales podcast, spreading that wisdom and such great advice, such great advice that you've given me in the audience today. So thank you so much, and appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, Jay. I had a great time. Anytime. Let's continue and have another conversation at some point.
Yeah, I would love that. Hey, real quick, if anyone wants to find more information, Chip, about you, where would you point them?
I have a website, chiphelm.com. I also am always available by email, chiphelm16@gmail.com. And I've even given my phone number out, 812-947-3588. I get calls all the time or emailed about things, and I'm very much, and obviously my 2 current books are up on Amazon.
Awesome.
I hope to have the 3rd book out in June, but it's not about that. It's about, if I impact one person,
that's it.
And if it made a difference for one person's life, I win.
It's worth it. Amen. Well, hey, thank you so much. chiphelm.com. The rest of the stuff we'll put in the show notes on this episode of Sultans of Sales. It's been a great one. Thank you, Chip. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Jay.
Appreciate you, sir.
I enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.